What's up, my beautiful black people? Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Black Wealth Project. The Black Wealth Project is the Black Wealth Initiative think tank to talk about all things money, all things wealth, all things prosperity in the black community. So we are here this week to talk about that. We're waiting on two more of our Black Wealth team elites that are in the green room, the digital green room, and we'll be on with you in just a second. But listen, the election, it's over. Biden's in the office. And he owes black folks all of that, starting with Obama, starting with James Clyburn, starting with Kamala Harris, starting with Simone Sanders, Keisha Bottoms, Stacey Abrams. Black women and the black vote turned out big for Joe Biden. So today we're going to talk about the election's over now. Where do we go from here? What's next after this post-election? What are we going to plan? What are we going to do? What are we going to execute in order to make the black community better? Because just because Biden's in, don't mean that the work's done. So what's up, team? How y'all doing?
What's up, brother? You know, we're good, man. How are you making out?
Man, I'm chilling like a villain. I got on my Uncle Bobby's sweatshirt today.
Yo, shout out to Uncle Bobby's, man. Y'all gotta leave Uncle Bobby's alone, man. They wilding with that.
And Antifa be smashing his windows.
No, I think it's Q9. It ain't Antifa ain't got no smoke. But I went by Uncle Bobby yesterday and copped a couple things to support. I think his business is an important business in the community that we could all
it is important. That's why they keep smashing the windows. They keep trying to make him go out of business.
Yeah. So it's sad. It's sad. So how are you, Jimmy? How are you, Corey? How are you, Courtney? And David Ruffin, Malik Carter is in here.
He just pull up with a hoodie on that says the GOAT? Like, what's going on, man?
What's going on?
Wait, I can't with my hoodie.
And hold up though, and the way he did it too was kind of slick. Like I peep everything, man. Like he slow scrolled up on his screen and make sure, you know what I mean? Like I saw that.
Make sure you put the ambiance.
Hey, but this is I got this in the mail, man. Shout out to Nicole Purvey. She gave it to me for being a guest for Philly Real Estate Week a few months ago. So
that's dope. Say real estate dope, right?
To the joint.
That's dope. That's a dope fit right there. I like that. All right, let's check in with the folks, y'all. But before we check in with the folks, what do y'all think about this week, real quick? What y'all thinking? How y'all feeling?
Same way I felt
same way I felt last week.
Absolutely nothing changed.
Hey, but listen, I will say this. I'm about to get back in these real estate streets though, because one thing for sure, that the Biden campaign
man, don't say what you about to say, dog. Don't do it.
No, you listen. It's gonna be a lot of first-time home buyer grants in the streets.
Okay.
It's gonna be some first-time home buyer grants in these streets. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my portfolio. I'm about to cop up a few more joints, man, because the streets gonna be on fire. Like if not right in the next 8 to 9 months.
Listen, man, I thought he was gonna say something else, man, because because me and Malik were talking about some of the thoughts and memes
I wasn't gonna say that, bro.
Based upon current events. I know. But my point is, you ever hear somebody tell you like, "Yo, should I post this?" And the first thought I think is like, when you ask me that, you already know the fact that you asked me that probably means you shouldn't.
Well, I saw Malik wants to give the Democrats more smoke, so I'm guessing we're gonna get some of that tonight.
Clearly, but no, I think I'm the only person that actually has had some kind of different. I feel relieved. I actually was working for the DNC on Tuesday to cure ballots. So basically, this is, I guess, our second go round at mail-in ballots, and you had to put in the secrecy envelope, and you had to sign it. And if it wasn't in the secrecy envelope, if it wasn't signed properly, or whatever the case may be, the ballot was invalidated. So basically, that meant that people would not be able to vote because their vote wouldn't count because their ballot was invalidated. So I was working for the DNC on Tuesday. I voted in the cold because I didn't do a mail-in ballot, and I haven't had a good night's sleep in the last I don't know, a couple of weeks. I mean, just generally, like it's just been so much election stuff, and I'm like, finally it's over. But then you still have the okay, well, what's going on? But shout out to my Philly, my city pulled it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I haven't seen enough memes that give the Philly its proper due, because Philly is like so blue, it's navy. And honest to goodness, in Pennsylvania is everything other than the major metropolitan areas is red, and that makes a difference when we're looking at presidential elections. Now we can have a whole conversation with the Electoral College, because I think it's time to have that conversation. I think it's a time to have a conversation about the tax code, Tax Cut and Jobs Act. I think it's time to have that conversation. I think it's time to have a conversation of, of Joe Biden saying like, yo, I owe y'all. It's like, all right, well, thank you. My hands are out. Not only my hands are out, but I also have a list of things that, I need you to get at.
I take apologies in cash in resources.
That's it.
That's it.
Cash resources.
That's
All
it.
right. All right. Well, listen, folks. Today's conversation, we are talking about what do we do next? Where do we go next? What happens after the post-election? It's all done, right? So today, as we're moving right along, I think we're having some technical difficulties because Tracy is still in the virtual green room. Hopefully we'll get her on soon. But we want to know what you guys think. Where should the Black community go next? What should we be thinking about next? What's the 1, 2, or 3 things that we all should be looking at doing very quickly, like within the next 6 months?
We still have Georgia is still in play in terms of the Senate. And in terms of getting things that are actually friendly towards the African American community, we need the Senate to be Democrat. Now, I know how we feel. Everybody feels different about Democrats, but at the end of the day, we have the Moore bill that's still pending, which is the Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment Expungement Act. I might have made up all those words. I mean, it's
hold that smoke for a minute, Courtney. Hold that smoke for a minute, Courtney. We going to get into all that as soon as we do the BOB of the week. This week's BOB of the week is my man named Zori. Zori cooks. He is a chef. He makes some bomb food, y'all. I've had him cater for me for a few times. So you can find him Zori Cooks on Facebook or Zori Cooks on Instagram. He made me these dino ribs. I mean, they really look like ribs from the Flintstones, and those suckers were crazy. And so these are just some of his creations right here. Some crab and what is this here? Some crab seafood, shrimp. More shrimp. People love their seafood. So if you're looking to get any events catered, this is some salmon, some brisket. His salmon is crazy, y'all. But if you're looking to get anything catered and you're in the Philadelphia area, just look up Zori Cooks. Tell him the Black Wealth Project sent you over.
Is ZURI?
Yes, ZURI. ZURI. So, all right, folks, getting to the meat of everything. Everybody check in. Tell us where you're from. Tell us what y'all think. Where should we be going next as it relates to politics, as it relates to the Black community? We ain't worried about nobody else. We talking about us. Where should we be going next? So, Courtney, you had the smoke. Go ahead and add it on.
It was Tracy. Hey, Tracy.
Hi, Tracy.
Hi, y'all. Hey. I think even in my Instagram post, I kind of talked about how the election is kind of over. I mean, we do have the Senate in Georgia. The Senate Georgia, gracious, what is with me tonight? The seats, and this is just regular IC, y'all. The Senate seats in Georgia are still it is. I don't know why I'm so tongue-tied. But they're still in play, so it's not over, because it definitely how those seats go in Georgia will determine how effective this presidency is, especially when it pertains to Black people. So I need those. I'm basically focusing all my attention on Georgia, because again, is that it's not just we don't work in a bubble. Everything kind of works together. And do I love the way everything is going? Absolutely not. But Billy pulled it out. We still have a lot of work to do. And as Corey said, when he said cash and resources, that's our payment? I think that's our payment that we're taking. I'm here for it.
All right, Jimmy, what you think?
Well, first off, I want to preface it by saying I generally don't comment on religion and politics because my thoughts tend to upset people, and I'm about spreading positivity and joy. But with that being said, it's about building folks accountable. Where's our chicken? That's our motto moving forward. Like, where's our chicken? So the way he's been talking, and the way specifically our city delivered for president elect. What are you going to do about it? And also, I also want president-elect to know. I remember what you said about student loan debt, like when you were on the campaign trail. The one thing that I've been thinking about this past week, right, is I guess the one positive or a positive that came from President Trump is at least in my circle, I've seen people become more consciously aware plus political, to quote a great poet. But also interested in building, right? So like we had this boogeyman, and the boogeyman is there. So we need to work with each other and start to do things. It kind of woke a lot of people up that I know for a fact weren't interested in anything political, anything economic beforehand, and have started to actually do things. And what I'm thinking is I'm just hoping that folks don't fall back asleep and think, okay, now he's gone, and we got rid of the quote unquote overt racism, and now we're going back to the the racism we all grew up on, right? Systematic racism, and we're okay with that because the boogeyman is gone. So that's kind of where my mind is thinking about the fact that I want our folks to stay building, because to me, honestly, my political party is the ballot or the bullet. I don't care for either one of them, but I do understand the difference between one versus the other in today's climate. But I just don't want our folks to fall to sleep. I want us to hold people accountable, but I also want us to continue building and doing for self, because that's really the only way to get to any sort of freedom is to build ourselves independently. That's my personal opinion.
Gotcha. Corey, what you got on this?
I don't care about none of this shit. I'm gonna keep it a being. None of this shit means anything. We gotta build, or we're not gonna do anything. Right. So if we don't build, no matter who's in office, it's not gonna matter. So I'm more interested in what we're gonna do to build rather than the political whoever's in office. None of that. I mean, it means something, but it don't. It on a scale of 1 to 20, that shit is like 70. So I'm just gonna keep it a beam.
So on a scale of 1 to 20, it's a 70. But you said it on me, man. So would it be 0?
That's less than 0.
Is it me, y'all?
That shit is less than 0. The other way, -70. Then however the fuck you want to do it.
All right, Corey tired, y'all. All right, Malik, what you got on this?
So what I'm gonna say is that as far as the election goes, to be honest with you, Donald Trump is just an embarrassment. I wouldn't even on the world stage, he's just an embarrassment. We look at even the Paris Climate Accord and look at what he says. Like nobody respects that man. He thinks so, but everybody laughs at him. And the one thing about America that I like my blue passport. I want to mean something when I go places. I don't want people to talk about, about that. I still want to, be able to go places and be respected. I mean, I already am as a Black person. I think we treated well on the world. But the one thing the election did do for me, I posted it earlier, is that nobody Black should ever say that they vote don't matter. I mean, like Biden, like this was like Trump had the most votes of any other president in history, but it wasn't enough to beat Joe Biden. He had more. It just so happens that this was a huge election, but Black people put it over the top, but they eked it out. So everybody, like, your votes are really important when it comes to the politics on the national level. Now, what's the ask? What are we asking for? And I will say this. The Republicans see that and they notice it. One thing I read when I was researching about Stacey Abrams, I didn't think that Biden would win without Stacey Abrams. I said it a few times. I was wrong. But actually, I was right because she really delivered Georgia right for him. It was kind of right in a way. But in reading about her, I found out that since 2018, 2 million people moved to Georgia, and 80% of them are black. They probably all moved to Atlanta, but like, you know, we got to figure that's a huge number of black people moving to Georgia. Georgia is no longer a red state; is purple. You know, going more towards blue. And so, what I think we're going to see is Republicans really offering black solutions, and not just the typical crime bill, you know, crime reform. I think Republicans are going to begin to offer some real solutions to black people. One last thing, move to the next person, is when we look at the average age of the Senate is like 58. I don't even know why Mitch McConnell still wants to even work, but he won his election at 78, so his intent is to work to 84. The college that he went to, University of Kentucky, he was 10 years old before they allowed their first black person, right? And so these are people live in that age that are in the Senate. They were during segregation time period. They're aging out. And I think that if the Republicans offer any real positive solutions for black folk, Democrats, they out of here. They done for. Because I think the Republicans are going to pull even more and more black people. But that's it.
All right, Tracy, what you got on this young lady?
So, I know I was popping on a little bit late, so I want to just go ahead and just say this. I know the election is over, but shout out to my soror, Kamala Harris, for winning VP elect.
Oh God, you about to mute the mic.
Yes, come through, because this is our first airing since it happened. So I'm going to have to gloat for all of my black women, for all my HBCU grads, for all my D9, for all of the Indian women, Jamaican women, black women are out here doing the thing. So post-election, one of the things that I want to say is black women carried this election in organizing, in strategizing, back office, front office, grassroots, and on the ground. Make room for black women. Make space for them. We need to make sure that we understand our resources in our community and take them seriously. That's one of the things that I believe personally as a community post-election, that we need to start having some conversations. Who do you have in your C-suite that's a black woman? Who do you have on your team that's a black woman? Who do you have with these credentials, with the tenacity, with the resources, and with the grit? Because we're out here making moves, making changes, and you need to get you one.
All righty.
Or two.
I mean, I think a lot of things were said. My 2 cents on it is I feel that the next place we need to go is education. Our community still is not politically savvy enough to do the things that we need to do. Tracy, I think you made great points. Echo some of the points that I made at the top of the show. Black women really came through, really delivered it, as they always do. Now, Tracy, I'll say this. I don't know if folks need to make room, right? Because black women are undeniable at this point. I think y'all just got to claim y'all space and rock from there, and just seeing that space. So I don't even know if it's a fact of making room, because I think some men, especially some white men, are too arrogant and too bathed in misogynistic theory and ideology to know that it's time to be more inclusive and more diverse. So
I agree with you there about taking space, but I also believe that it's in tandem. Like, folks have to recognize that they need us in order for us to even have the window opportunity to gain this space. Because we still aren't really looked at on that same conversation as black men and white men.
I agree.
And we're still kind of below, especially on the pay rate. Let's not get into that conversation, below white women.
I don't disagree with any of that. But what I'm saying is, and I think this is something we really got to understand, an oppressor is never going to make room for you. right? Your enemy is never going to make room for you. Your bully is never going to make room for you. You got to punch them. You got to punch that dude or that girl in the mouth. I'm trying not to cuss today. I'm trying to be good. I'm about to go there. I'm just saying that. Listen, Black women are undeniable force, right? And as Frederick Douglass once said, power can seize nothing without a demand. And so I think as we again become more politically mature and we understand what's going on, it's not about asking anymore. It's about doing and taking and moving. That's one thing. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Right. No. I agree with you, but I think it's very poignant what you just said in that quote. Without the demand.
That's right.
We are in demand now. We weren't before.
No, I'll be honest though, right? And I don't want to get too sidetracked, but I feel Black women have always been in demand and have always been leaders, right? I think it's the misogynistic the theories that we all believe in that Black women have to cower to any other man. But we can talk about that offline. We can talk about that offline.
But I mean, that's why we talked about earlier that our need to build, like, you know, it's you talk about our oppressors never giving us what we need, right? I agree with you, Kamari, but that's why we need to build as a community. We need to do for each other, right? Correct. So, I mean, they are leaders. They've always been leaders in our community. I mean, we can go back how far you want to go back. They've always been leaders in our community. Now they're, you know, leaders in the world stage. But
that's right.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, we need to build our own spaces. We need our own spaces in you know, our own community. You know, after this election, it was funny. I was doing some reading. I came across something that the legendary El Hajj Malik El Shabazz said, and it made me think about this election. I just want to read it real fast. He said, the Black man in North America was sickest of all politically. He let the white man divide him into such foolishness as considering him a Black Democrat or a Black Republican, a Black conservative or a Black liberal, when 10 million Black vote block could be the deciding balance of power in American politics, because the white man's vote is almost always divided. And this past week, and also when you just said what you said about educating ourselves politically, and this what it comes down to, organizing. So even though this election is over and everybody's partying in the street, like, you know, it's kind of weird, but the work's not even started yet, in my opinion. So when you talk about where do we go from here, we got to start working. That's what we got to do. We got to start working. And so the boogeyman is going. What are we going to do now? And that's my question. My question is, don't get caught up in thinking the boogeyman is gone and everything is you know, good again, and now we're able to party and be happy, because the work really hasn't started.
Right? Is the boogeyman gone though? Like you saw Trump. He built 6 fences around the White House for a reason recently.
Right.
No, but you know what though? That's a good point too, because Malik, you said something earlier, right? You said you talked about him losing and about, you know, this, but I think that he opened up a can of worms that I'm not sure we'll be able to put back in.
Correct.
Think about the amount of votes he got.
Yep. Correct.
I mean, you know, half of the country feels one way, half feels the other. So I'm even with him, like, not being that guy in his space, what he opened up, that can of worms he opened up, isn't going back.
Right. That vote shows that half of the country is in support of a racist, or at least supports racist ideas, whichever way you want to frame it. And then when you look at the QAnon, I don't know if y'all saw the QAnon, a couple of them dudes drove through Philly with potentially malicious intent. So they active now, they getting busy. So we gotta be serious again about educating ourselves.
And they organized and they got bread and they got a hell of a head start.
Yeah, thanks for cutting me off, Malik. Appreciate you.
I think we're done.
But yes, education, right? But you can't organize unless you educate, right? So they go hand in hand. We definitely gotta organize. And we gotta realize that what's most important is the love and not the money. And I think we got that twisted and backwards. I know a lot of times we talk about Black wealth, people only think about the monetary aspect, the financial aspect. But what about the community and the love aspect? And we can't let that lose sight.
Right. So can I speak now? Is that okay? I didn't mean to cut you off earlier, so I'm just making sure that we are good now. So I will say this, man. As far as I did a video this summer in one of my garden videos, my A shirt on, and what I said is that I honestly don't believe that the majority of white people in America are white supremacists. I believe that yes, they do benefit from the white supremacists, right? And if this country is only 13% black, right? So so you gotta figure that's what's that like three? Was it like 30 something million black people or so? But and let's just say 10% of white people are white supremacists, that's still about 30 million white supremacists. So that small portion of white supremacists, the small portion of white people, I'm not saying that's the number, but if it is that number, if that small portion is just as many of them actively trying to keep black people ahead, then we need all of us, right, working together, trying to get ahead. And then maybe there will be some white allies, but we can't depend on that. But the point is, like I said, the majority of white people, they 100% do benefit from the work of the small sliver that of the actual white supremacist behavior. But that's on. Thank you.
As y'all see, we like to have fun, y'all. But I agree with that, Malik. I don't think all white people are bad. I don't think all white people are racist. I will say this, though. I do feel that there's not enough white people speaking up in defense of the inequalities and the inequities that occur against black people and people of color. But again, we have to be able to, one, understand what the issues are. I can't tell you how many black folks I saw running around repeating Trump sound bites. If I hear another person say, what has Joe Biden done in 47 years? I'm going to cut my head off, because clearly they don't understand the process. He's in Senate. It's not just him. It's 99 other people. So when you ask that question, that's showing me you don't understand the process.
Can I read something that I came across on Facebook? It was a post that somebody posted, and I think this is kind of poignant for the conversation. The quote or the conversation on Facebook with the post was, it says, one of the most profound scenes from Jordan Peele's Get Out movie was before Chris's surgery, when the blind art dealer Jim Hudson tells him he doesn't give a crap about color, but he just wants his eyes. The scene exemplifies how white people can benefit from white supremacy even if they don't identify as racist. Despite a significant portion of our country being racist, there are others who give hatred and bigotry a pass because they're not willing to give up the benefits that come from white supremacy. That's our country, and it's something that's never been lost on me throughout these last 4 years.
That's profound.
It's real. It's real. I should wrote that. I should have wrote that down.
Well, Tracy, please share that so we can put that on the page.
Okay, I will.
Real quick.
That's the entire thing that I feel like is one of the layers that got uncovered throughout this election. It's like a lot of people, whether they're white or white adjacent or white proximity, they don't identify as racist, but they want their eyes by any means necessary.
Right. Yep. Well, let's check in with our people. Who's here? All right. Kenan Evans. How are you, sir? Thanks for joining us.
His name is Kenan.
Kenan. I'm sorry. Kenan. My apologies. Roby. How you doing, Roby?
Yeah, Roby.
Wanda. How you doing, Wanda?
Don.
Don Johnson. What's up, Don?
Hey, Don. All right.
Hey, Adrian.
Hey, Adrian. Dwight, what's going on?
Dancing. What do you mean by that, Dwight? What do you mean by that, Dwight? Expound on that. Monica. Hey, Monica. Happy Sunday. I'm happy we won't be receiving the harassing. Yes. I think we all can agree on that.
He was upset about those messages.
Hey, Angela.
Hey, Angela.
Hi, Angela. We got a bunch of Angelas in the house. Yes, Philly did that work, Don. But so did Atlanta. I mean, I was more surprised about Atlanta than Philly, to be honest. But I was surprised about the black community overall, from Atlanta to Detroit to Milwaukee. I mean, all over the place. I was really happy to see the turn.
Phoenix came out, man. Phoenix did the thing too. Don't forget Phoenix.
Yep, a lot of Native Americans in Phoenix. Yep. Hey, Katista. Joey B needs to cut the check. Yeah, he needs to cut the check. I'm gonna say this, y'all. Y'all might not like this. I think you're going to see a very active Kamala Harris in a different role than what we've seen previous VPs before.
She might be the damn president.
Yep, he's 78.
Facts.
78. That's a strong possibility.
We just elected a 78-year-old white man to run our country. No mind. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
What's up, Kavette? Killing that. But listen, Donald Trump ain't that much younger. What is he, 2 or 3 years younger?
I think like 76, I think.
Yeah. Hey, Nico. So before economics, we got to fix the psychology among our people. I agree, but tell us how would you do that? How do we go about doing that?
I think that's a conversation that has to be had. I mean, because at the end of the day, is that when you don't have, having money gives you more time. And when you have more time, you're actually able to deal with the things that bother you or that are problematic. But when you're waking up to go to work and then you go home, you eat, and you do it again every single day, and you have no additional time, you really can't deal with things that bother you, whether it's physical, it's emotional, or spiritual. So, yeah, I agree that we have to deal with the psychological part, but we have to deal with some of the money to kind of free up that space to really do the work that's necessary.
Right. The great Negro poet Nipsey Hussle said that it takes it says rocket level force to escape poverty. And so if you put in all your energy into just making sure your family can eat this week, then it's very difficult to focus on anything else except that next meal.
It's called Maslow's hierarchy.
Yep. Hierarchy of needs. Yep.
All right. So Maria Shake says, so proud of Philadelphia. Hey, Maria. Angela says, how soon will be reasonable to expect money promises and in what form of payment? That's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
Adrian says, man, I don't feel any different. I don't think any of us feel any different. I will say that especially on the local level, I want folks to get grimy with Democrats, make demand, and follow through with the threat of voting them out of office. I'm independent, but I'm tired of the Democrats depending on the black vote, while many of our neighborhoods are abysmal, excuse me. We still have a high poverty rate. Yeah, I agree. But all of that is going to take education and higher levels of organization.
But you have to remember how, like, if we're this impactful on the national level, imagine how impactful we can be on the local level. And I think that's what showed us. I think that's what the election 2020 has shown us. Like, yeah, we're impactful on a national level, but just imagine if you can really move the needle in your areas. But again, that you still have to come to the table with an agenda. You still have to say, well, these are the things that are important to us, to go to people that are looking to be elected to say, this is what I need you to do, and then hold them accountable when they do get elected. I mean, that is a process.
I think the other thing we got to think about too is, right, voting is usually higher in presidential elections. We forget that there's an election every 6 months, again, every 6 months. And we should be bringing the same energy that we brought 2 days ago, 3 days ago on Tuesday, whatever day it was, when it comes time to voting. What is that, April or May of next year?
That's the point that Courtney was making.
I got a comment on that too.
But history shows that we won't be able to do that.
I got to remember that though.
Well, because I mean, and I've worked elections before, and the fact is, it depends upon how much money is on the street. In national elections, there's a lot of money that flows all the way down to the average person working the street, and a lot of times it's not that. In a local election, depending upon how heated that race is. But there's a lot of money that flows to the streets in a national election. So it comes down to people doing it because, hey, I'm getting paid for this, or I see the importance of it.
Right. And we have to skew towards the importance of it. Because, I mean, you're right. There's definitely more money in the nationals. There's also more awareness, too. There's more people talking about it. So
right. We definitely need to
hopefully with platforms like ours, we can begin to make some of these things more noticeable. Go ahead, Malik. I'm sorry.
My bad. Now, I was saying, like, no, we definitely have to educate people as to why they should. Another thing that I said, right, is how do you get the average person to vote? And I'm talking about like the average street dude at that, right? If a lot of people in jail and on the street, they know the DAs that's railroading black people. right? They know the judges that's over sentencing. These are all, they know the sheriffs that's doing a lot of damage. These are all elected, right? And then if you say, hey, you know what? If you in the street, you have more incentive than anybody else to vote, because you should want to have a say in who the DA is. You should have a say in who the judge that might be sentencing you, right? But to get that message across, to have like, okay, you know what? Matter of fact, we on the street, we should all probably vote and understand whether, that these are the people that we're going to go face. And then once people put 2 and 2 together, then maybe you don't get them all a vote, and maybe you get 10 to 15, 20% more street dudes registering to vote and be more active. And then you get them coming to be at the polls for other elections locally, even between the midterms.
Well, Malik, you and Courtney, you should take Courtney out to the streets and have her tell you about her friend named Jeff. That might be an interesting story to get some of the street dudes involved.
My friend Jeff. I love Jeff. I don't know where Jeff is, but Jeff and his tax write-offs for the sale of amphetamines, cocaine, and marijuana, and how the court allowed him to write off.
That was. I read that. That's hard. Like, I mean, shot is shot.
It doesn't work. Congress was like, "No, play. You can't do it that way." They said, "No. We have 280 for that behind."
Courtney, real quick in 30 seconds, just give the audience a taste of what Jeff is and why we laugh about it.
So Jeff is a Minnesota, I should say Minneapolis drug dealer. So Jeff got hemmed up by the feds, and he hadn't filed his tax return for tax year 1974. So at the time, the CSA, Controlled Substances Act of 1970, was live and popping, and marijuana, cocaine, all those things were illegal. So Jeff hadn't filed his return. He got what's called a jeopardy assessment. So the IRS is like, hey, we know you owe us money because we know that you were doing things you had no business doing. Here's the jeopardy assessment. And Jeff was like, no, I got you. Let me file my tax return. So Jeff files his tax returns. He recreates his business. So he basically he had I think it was 1.1 million pills of like amphetamines. He had, I guess, 13 ounces of cocaine, and then he also had 100 pounds of marijuana. So that's what he was selling. And he was actually selling them on consignment because he had a supplier that he was selling it on consignment from. Okay. So Jeff, so anyway, giving you all that background is that the tax court said, listen, so initially he filed his tax return, and the tax commissioner or the IRS said, oh no, you cannot deduct any of these expenses related with your drug business. And the tax court was like, actually he can. And the reason being is that there's nothing saying he can't. So he was able to deduct his cost of his car. He drove about 29,000 miles based on, doing his drug deals. He was able to deduct his part of his apartment because the tax court found that he did all of his drug business out of his apartment. He was also able to deduct long distance phone calls. They did disallow his deduction of his trip to San Diego, which was, they did admit it was related to his drug dealings, but he wasn't able to substantiate his receipts well enough to actually get the credit for that. And he was also able to write off a $50 scale and packaging. So that's our friend Jeff. So that was in 1974. It was appealed. It went all the way to the tax court in 80 or 81. And the tax court said, okay, listen, we're going to allow you to write all of that. So you have no obligation to the IRS, but you did file your return late. So you're going to have to pay those fees. So that's our friend Jeff. And Congress was like, hey, we don't like this. So we're going to enact 280E. 280E says if you're involved with a Schedule 1 or a Schedule 2 drug, marijuana is Schedule 1, cocaine's a Schedule 2. Don't really know why. Kind of strange. But anyway, it's racist. Just to give you clarification. But they said, no, if you're going to do that, you cannot write off any ordinary necessary expenses of business. Thank you, Jeff, the drug dealer from Minneapolis. Amen.
Now, listen, the Blackwell Project does not endorse or encourage any drug dealing, nor do we endorse or encourage you to incriminate yourself by filing your taxes when you're drugging. Now, you should file your taxes, but you got to be a bit more strategic about it.
Shout to Oregon. Shout to Oregon.
Oh, they put weed on. Well, you know what? Shout to
No,
Oregon.
they
Shout
decriminalized all drugs. Period.
All drugs.
all
everything.
drugs. Right. I know Jersey did weed. But I forgot about Oregon.
Meth,
All
all that. Cocaine.
Lynette says everyone should be focusing on the GA race. If Reverend Raphael Warnock and John Ossow don't win, policy is out, and all the stuff we want to even have conversation about goes out the window.
I said that.
Yes and no. It's yes and no. It would definitely be easier with them in, but the Democrats picked up some seats, so it's not going to be as easily a slaughter. And through some work, they could probably convince some Republicans to do some work. Maybe. I'm holding out some hope. We need to understand civics, facts, and its impact on our daily life. I agree. Hey, Leslie, great seeing you at Uncle Bobby's the other day. Lynette Wright says window, now weekend. I missed that one.
Herman, I think it was one of her other comments.
No, that was from her previous post. Yeah, it was a spell check.
Oh, okay. So after the GA race, our focus should be getting blacks in cabinets, advisory positions, which give us power in Washington and the world. Okay. Hey, Joanne.
Hey, Soror.
I didn't know Joanne was an AKA too. She's doing the quiz.
Yeah.
All right, we got the Divine Nine announcement today. So Leslie,
all right, D9, we see you.
GDI in the building. GDI.
All right, also best believe they have been organizing since 2 p.m. Yes, yes. And I believe she's talking about QAnon. Johnson, because my Sora is the VP. Yeah. With all that, shout out to Kamala representing HBCUs. Hopefully, she break hold the Ivy League as on Washington.
That'd be awesome.
I doubt it, but it's a great first step.
I mean, Joe's not Ivy League either.
Huh?
Joe's not Ivy League either.
No, but when you look at a lot of the cabinet positions, like Secretary of Treasury is usually somebody from Wall Street, especially Goldman Sachs. So, I don't know.
They're going to get somebody from HBCU in the cabinet. Has to be. There will be at least one.
Maybe. I mean, listen, Stacey Abrams is a Spelman alum. Keisha Bottoms went to FAMU. You know, they had it going on. All right, so
I was about to ask, do you think Stacey will finally get her students?
Say that again, Jimmy.
No, I was saying, do you guys think that Stacey will finally get a chance to get her student loan debt paid off?
Jimmy got jokes tonight, y'all.
I can't.
Adrian said, "No, come on, let it fly." Okay. I'm trying to be good. I don't want to cuss too much. I'm trying to do better. But y'all know Corey be influencing me, y'all.
I ain't influencing you. I'm being quiet because I got crazy shit to say. And
see, that's what I'm saying. He influenced me. Y'all heard him, right? He let it fly.
Y'all love this shit, and I'm not in love with none of this shit. So I'm just letting y'all talk.
Wait a minute. Who said we love it?
Well, I mean,
what you mean, y'all? And what do you y'all?
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, man. Celebrate, be happy. Let's do your thing.
I need more, Corey. Come on, you holding out on us. What do you mean by?
I'm not holding out. I just said what I said what I meant. I don't. None of this shit means anything because we're not doing the work. None of it means anything unless we do the work.
Right.
I think we all said that. We all said that.
Okay.
All right.
So I'm gonna say this, right? I just really want to, like, of all the promises that legalize marijuana and start expunging the records of the comrades. Like I said, there's nobody like my cousin who did 10 years in prison for a few pounds of weed. That is just ridiculous. He was in Virginia at that. Of course, yes, he broke the law. We get it. But 10 years for like a few pounds of weed is crazy. We just gotta.
No, but see, the thing is that it's a federal move. Is that all of those mandatories came from the feds, so the feds are going to have to be the ones that get rid of them. And I mean, and again, we talk about the crime bill of '94, but it's actually the Anti-Drug Act of 1986 that started the whole day. And if we're going to we have to break down. Somebody said in the comments, we have to break down the systems that caused all of this. a lot of the Moore bill actually does deal with expungements. And we have to get rid of it, because the problem is that when you send somebody to prison or jail, it's supposed to be a rehabilitation. It's supposed to re-enter them into society. And all we do on the other side is we take away the right to vote. We finally started to get that back together. Oh, hi, Florida. We still see you with your poll tax. 1. 2, again, we don't allow people with a record to get necessary licensing, so they can't really get a real job. So then you have this 3 strikes bill on the other side, is that I'm trying to make money for my family. You told me all the things that I can't do. I can't get a degree in college, in jail anymore. So what do you want people to do? Like, no, this system is messed up and it has to get fixed. So nobody's saying anything about that, but you got to take it to the source. It got to go to the feds. Y'all got to fix it. And the way that we fix it is we take over that Senate.
I agree. All right, Wayne Terry says the Dems better deliver for black folks. Looking at history, when the Dems had the House and Senate, the infighting hurt the Dems. Say what you want about Republicans, they fall in line. They fall in line with nonsense, though. Like, I think we need more context when we say these. Look, I told y'all, both parties are trash, y'all. Like, but one party at least tries to govern a little bit better, a little bit. Like, what just happened these last 4 years to me is like totally unacceptable. I mean, the dude trying to take away healthcare. How many black people need healthcare? I mean, how many people have pre-existing conditions?
I mean, listen, I totally get what you're saying, but you can't fight evil. Like, sometimes, like, to fight evil, you gotta get in the mud with him, so to speak. So I understand exactly what he's saying. You're saying they fall in line for nonsense. But the fact he's making is they fall in line, and a lot of them fall in line and agree with what they're falling in line with, but they're trying to get things done, and they have a tendency to get things done because of that.
I got you. But here's what I'll say to that, right? We still have to recognize when the bullshit is on the table and being served to us like a steak. And the Republicans ain't no better. You just read the quote, right? Malcolm X said, black folks don't need to be worrying about no damn parties. We need to be worrying about black folks. And how do we get what's best for black folks?
At all.
Right. So we can't sit here and try to position one party being better than the other, because they're not. That's all I'm saying.
But here's the problem, though, and here's the issue: is that, again, I think he makes a very valid point about getting in line. Because, I mean, right off top, AOC was saying, well, we got to talk about being more liberal and we don't even have the Senate, baby. Shut up. Like, we have to really be more strategic if we're trying to get our agenda through. And again, like, yeah, they may get in line for nonsense, but at least they get in line. We do have a lot of infighting. We do have a lot of confusion. And what happens when confusion hits? Nothing gets done. And too much is on the line for nothing to get done.
So I can't say we when it comes to Dems, because, again, I don't relate to both parties. I don't relate to any party. The Dems clearly are the better party right now. But I mean, AOC is a disruptor, and that's what she's there to do, because, like, I think it was either Corey Malik that said a lot of these dudes is over.
I think that applies to us as I think that applies to us as black folks too. Forget a party, F both parties. In terms of us being organized, I think that also applies to us, because the quote that I actually read from Malcolm in terms of what he was saying is we need to be organized together, right? So I guess that's one thing to take from this too. You see the power of what happens when we are unified under one thing. Again, this was us being unified against the boogeyman, for those that, went the other way, because all of us didn't go the other way. But the fact is, most of us did. We were organized against the boogeyman. But how can we take that same energy and apply to things that actually will make a difference, right? Whether we're talking about politics at a local level, whether we're talking about economics, whether we're talking about educating the babies, how do we put that same energy that we use? And this is what I mean by the scary part, because we have a tendency to fall asleep at the wheel when we don't have that bad guy to when the boogeyman is not there, we think everything's cool. Right. And we go right back to the norm. That's where my focus is and what I'm thinking about post-election, right? I don't believe that any one party is the other. I forget both of them. But at the end of the day, what I do recognize is under the last regime, because of marketing, and I think Malik mentions this too. Like, one of the things I took from the thing is marketing, and how marketing plays a part of politics. Whether and I think you mentioned this also, Kamara, when you talked about how many votes Trump actually got, because of the whole idea of socialism and all that being on the Democrats. And we could talk about that in a little bit. But my main point is, what we were talking about in terms of falling behind. I don't think that just matters party to party. A lot of us need to figure that out too. How do we take this same energy and apply it to things that actually will make a difference?
Correct.
Right. So you're talking about how do we organize, and I get it, because sometimes we just got to shut up and fall in line. And I'm with that when the time is right. I was just saying, to Wayne's point, like let's not make the Republicans be the good guys. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
The banners.
Huh? What?
The classic, the Freslan, organize the hood under our chink banners. No more red and blue bandanas.
It's big.
Yes, sir.
And I think my original conversation in my post and what I was saying and discussing was more just to kind of help people to understand. We already have the organizational systems in place. They were the ones that helped us organize on the grassroots level to get the win. How about this? Who gave the parties and the political affiliate organizations your phone number to text you?
Obama.
Okay. So we have that system in place that we can communicate with each other. It was used. It was executed. Information got disseminated.
But let me ask you a question, Tracy, or everybody. Whose money was it that was able to fuel this machine, though?
I can tell you what Fox News says.
Michael Bloomberg gave a bunch of money, especially to Georgia. And so anytime when our money is major and present and accounted for, that's also going to be an issue too. So I love Obama. I think Obama's great, but Obama is still a politician, right? And I'm not going to sit here and try to put down Obama, but the community needs to be able to own those resources and those things. I don't know that we'll have access to them, Tracy. And I'm not trying to be combative or anything, but I don't really know if we'll actually have access to that. We got to have our own systems of communication so that we can be organized outside of party. Because Obama, at the end of the day, is still a Dem.
Okay, and I think when I'm thinking about this stuff, I look at things that work. If someone else owns something, that's cool, but can it be mimicked?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Can we use free platforms, social media, Instagram, Twitter? Can we disseminate information on a level on a platform that we own to still organize and communicate? Like, I'm just saying that forget the parties, forget Democrats, Republicans, and everything else. Let's talk about our community and how we actually organize and disseminate information amongst each other.
I agree with that.
And what we learned from the election on how it was done effectively, whether it was annoying or not, whatever, but effectively, it was done. So now when we start saying we got to educate, we got to organize, we got to make sure that people know about this, understand this, whatever. We got ways to talk to people. We talk to them every day.
I'll say this. I mean, as to go along with what Tracy was saying, is I'll say we do it every day, but we all do it. We communicate each other. We spend a lot of money on marketing, on enriching ourselves, me included. You know, a lot of my paid marketing is about helping me get rich. You know, but my free stuff is about the community. You know, and so I do understand that there definitely needs to be some, because we're masterful when it comes to communication. We're masterful to get people to pay $99 for a course, right?
Correct.
We're masterful at these things, but when it comes to actually organizing the community, we act like we can't do it. And to Tracy's point, it just came to me just now. I'm like, yo, do we just not care about it, right? Do we just care to enrich ourselves and hope that the community is better? Or do we make enough money to move as close to whiteness as possible? And I got to think about my own actions right now.
I have a question for Kamari or Tracy. Could you explain, you said that Obama was the one that made that possible. Could you break that down, how that all happened?
Well, a lot of the tactics that were used were tactics that Obama used in was 08 and 12 or 07 and 11 with his campaign. A lot of the text messaging, a lot of the email marketing, a lot of the list actually came from Obama, which I guess were probably housed by the DNC.
Oh, you're saying he just markets? I thought it was. Okay. All right.
What did you went out on us, Jimmy? I didn't hear the whole comment.
Oh no, I'm COINTELPRO again. But what I was saying is I didn't know that you meant he just brought it to the marketplace. I thought maybe it was something specific that he did. You're saying he was the first one to actually do it that way.
I mean, I think that
he did have the list.
Where everybody paid that $5, through text. He got millions of people in their database now that the Dems just use.
Plus the whole Act Blue, that whole organization, the collect a lot of political. It's all kind of in the mix there. But listen, everybody, you're watching the Black Wealth Project. We do this every Sunday, 7 p.m. ish. All right, listen, we do this to have higher level communications or higher level conversations with our community. Better conversations we have, the better movement we can have, the better actions we can take. So do us a favor, don't keep us a secret, and share this out with anybody who you think might take advantage of this or be thankful for this type of conversation. All right. Marsha says we got to show people how to treat us. I agree. Leslie says we need our own space, especially off of social media. I 1,000% agree with that. Leslie says left folks are going to social site called Parlor. I think I saw that. Pretty interesting conversations going on there. I thought it was more 50-50, honestly. What was 50-50?
Talking about the voters.
The vote.
Yeah, it was. I would say it was 50-50 across the board. If we rounded up. Elizabeth says we are organized but not properly funded. I would disagree with that. I don't think we're organized at all. We're organized but not properly funded, or do we understand each other's perspectives?
Man, listen, as soon as a black person comes out in a position of power, they just get torn down. They just it don't matter what. In 1972, you grab somebody's butt. Oh no, get out of here.
Oh, you mean like how the black community did that to Kamala?
Yeah, me. Yeah. Well, that was more recent, but yeah, for sure.
Wait, time out. What do you mean by more recent?
I mean, but it's yeah. Come on, man. So, and I guess it goes into a conversation of falling in line. Do we ignore things and say, "Yo, we got to just all jump behind her"? Because remember, all your skinfolk ain't your kinfolk. Now, I'm not talking about her specifically, but I'm saying in general to that comment. Do we all just fall in line, or do we hold our people accountable for some of their past actions?
Well, I think that there's nothing really to fall in line to. We need to see what they're going to do and make them kind of, right now, yes, there's a lot of people, including myself, that was critical of Vice President-elect Harris, right? And so it was me. I had to support her from being a black woman from HBCU. That's all I really needed to hear. And so I did kind of get past some of the other stuff, not get past it, but I did kind of grit my teeth on that. And I'm like, okay, is she going to make amends for these things that she's being criticized for? And nobody's criticizing her behind her back. She's had to answer the question many different times. So now it's she has to also be held accountable for what happens later on within the presidency. Whatever her initiatives are, her roles are, I think it's very important that, she has a lot of communication and make amends, make some changes for some things that the people did not like or they didn't vote for her.
But here's a couple of things. I think we need to get away from cancel culture. Every time I turn around, somebody makes a mistake and then it's, we got to cancel so-and-so. And it's we're people. People make mistakes. People are flawed. And that happens. Again, I think it's a valid point to say, hey, what you did before wasn't really quite cool. But again, we also look at everything with 2020 vision or 2020 eyes. So things that were acceptable in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s, even the early 2000s, but at the time, it probably was acceptable. You can look at Kamala's prosecutorial record and say, for the time, that was acceptable. I mean, like we talked about the mandatory minimums already. We talked about the 86 Act. We talked about the 94 Act. Again, you put somebody in to prosecute. So again, based on the way police were actually policing, got us to the prosecutorial point where she was actually prosecuted. So I mean, and this is not an excuse. This is just actually to put context and color on it. But you also look at her senatorial record. She was the most progressive senator in there. So I'm not saying that, oh, she's my sorority sister, I'm going to excuse her. No, but I think we also have to look at everything in context. And I think I'm tired of us taking things out of context and say, oh, I don't really like that. No, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But again, we have to understand what produced it. And again, we have to get rid of what produced it because those bills are still hanging out there. New Jersey just legalized. I agree completely. And you can still get picked up for it. Something wrong.
And they're nuanced conversations, and a lot of times where people don't have those kind of conversations or actually bring context to them. But my point that I was making is like, we still have to look at their past actions and ask them why, right? So you should be able to change, because if you don't grow as a person, then you're dead, right? Like what's the brother's name out of Kentucky, the DA, Daniel Cameron, like that. Like if he runs for some sort of major office, do we just say, okay, he's a black man, we're gonna jump behind him, or do we say, yo, let's look at what you've been doing? That's all I'm saying. But when you actually look at someone's been doing, you do have to look at their entire record and their growth over time. So it wasn't about her specifically, but I'm just saying the whole idea of just only in line because someone is a black person, that could be problematic, because one of the things that I've recognized over this last year is majority of the white supremacists I know got my same skin tone, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
Jimmy, how you gonna leave us hanging like that, man? Can we name some names?
I'm just saying, that was the punchline, man. Like, let me get my punch off, man.
You got it off. You got it off well too. Congratulations. All right. So Elizabeth says we also can't be so obsessed with trying to be a carbon copy, but who we are and blazing the trail. I agree. I totally agree with that. Monica Williams says I worry about how things like over policing may become a bigger issue in our communities because law enforcement officers are upset about Trump being fired. Some law enforcement.
Some of them are.
White I saw a comment from some I don't know if I saw some comments from some firefighters the other day that were very troubling. I'll just leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. Wolves will always look out for the pack. Yeah, but the strength of the wolf is in the pack, and we really got to learn that.
Correct.
Adrian says a lot of people are already saying that Tom Cotton, who said slavery was a necessary evil and was voted as senator, is being taunted for a presidential run. He's younger than Trump and clearly has support despite his views. Yeah. Let's get them passports up. We might need to leave.
No, we can't go nowhere because I told it. So the demographics are changing. I think that right now we get some more comrades home. And like how many fathers, man, is that going to bring back in the lives of these kids and mothers, locked away? That's going to be, that it's going to be a lot of difference right now. Hopefully marijuana could get legalized. We won't have any more, I smell marijuana coming from the car. That excuse kind of goes away, hopefully. But Tom Cotton, he's very dangerous. But like I said, the demographics in the country are changing. What was it, like 4 years ago? I think it was. But that was the first kindergarten class that was not majority white. So then white people are becoming majority minority. That already started like 4 years ago. And then we got to look at it. The white people that are coming in power, the people in power now, didn't idolize and admire black people. The new white folk did, like from sports to entertainers to hip hop in general. They actually idolizing black people and around black people. So it's different. But it's not only Chubby Checker. It's a little bit different than now. So the demographics are shifting, and I think it's really shifting for the positive for the people as a whole. But it might not be for.
I think right long term. Yeah, but I think you're right long term, Malik. But short term, like, and I know this is a conversation me and you have all the time. how fast you think things are happening. But I mean, we just elected an 80-year-old dude to be president. So, and I don't know what the average age is of the House, but they aren't the younger generation. Let's put it that way.
I'm gonna just say this. South Africa, demographic shifts don't always necessarily mean progressive action and progressive mindsets come true. Malik, I get what you're saying though, right? That they grow up idolizing Jay-Z and everybody else, but some of these strongholds, some of these Kentucky, some of these Texas, even though the majority of black people actually live in Texas, I don't know if that's changing anytime soon, short term or long term.
Texas is purple now. Texas is going purple. But I was sending the video. Texas is purple not because of black people, because they did a great job recruiting tech companies, and now all of a sudden they're changing their politics, right? And so that's the reason why Texas is even in the picture. But but all
they still voted for Trump. Trump still won Texas. So it's still red.
Right, but it wasn't, they did, but it wasn't like that deep red. And then listen, Tesla is building a huge plant there. Amazon got something coming. There's a lot more tech companies, people leaving California, going to Texas. So like the next election, we gonna see. And then Florida also, Florida, we got the poll tax situation. Yeah. So it's about the changes ain't going on. The Puerto Ricans in Florida, not the Cubans in Florida, the Puerto Ricans in Florida apparently down with the cause. The Cubans, they have some other stuff, man, in Florida. But
let's get to the rest of these comments, y'all.
Do you think that little punk grew up idolizing black?
That's a great question.
I do, yeah.
Wow. That kind of proves the point there.
But here's the thing. Listen, for years ago, he posted "fuck Trump," so it's now whatever it is. What it is.
Yeah. All right. Nico says, "Peace and blessings to you, beloved. Peace and blessings to you too, Nico." Elizabeth says, "We have 4 years to actually start undoing the foundation of racism and systems that benefit from racism." I don't think 4 years is enough. We've got hundreds and hundreds of years of that, so it's going to be here for quite some time.
But it's going to continue to be here. And I think the problem is that when we got rid of slavery, we didn't change the mindset that allowed us to be enslaved. So that's why our black men are looked at in a certain way. I mean, they're looked at as being aggressive and all this other stuff. All of that came from slavery. They look at black women as we're being over sexualized. You did that in slavery. You used that thought process to justify our rape. So again, none of that changed. That thought process was then passed on to other people. I mean, and that's kind of how we got here. Because again, there's no real reason why you can look at us and say, oh, well, black people are that we're being policed in this manner. That, black girls are still being over sexualized. There's no rationale, but you didn't change, 400 years of thought process. You just didn't. And that's where we are. And so again, looking at 4 years, are doing it? Absolutely not. But what we can do is start undoing the laws that actually appreciate or edify that thought process. But we're not changing the thought process. That's probably going to be another 400 years.
You know what, Kavette? You are correct. Philly and Allegheny County.
Right.
You are right. Listen, you know what the saying is. I'm not sure if you are from Philly or not, but you know what they say about us. It's Philly, then it's Pittsburgh, and Mississippi in the middle. All red in the middle. I thought this comment was hilarious, though. What's that?
That's not fair. I mean, there are Harrisburg and Penn State.
I said that's what people say, Courtney. I'm not saying that's what I say.
No, I agree, but I think we have to be fair. Like Harrisburg and State College tend to go blue. You also have Pittsburgh. Erie's kind of messed up, but Pittsburgh ain't quite right either, though. I lived there for 5 years. My family's from there. Read the Post-Gazette comments.
That's right. Elizabeth says, "Ain't no company anywhere hiring."
Read Philly.com comments.
I was that too.
Right. Don says, "I think economics is the next problem we need to tackle because it's a problem we can fix."
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of disagree.
I was going to say, I'm like, it's kind of the same issue as before. Like, it's mindset. A lot of people have the issue that they have economically because the mindset is wrong.
Well, we can make an impact, though. I think we do make an impact on that. I mean, we can't change everything, but we can impact some. We can impact others.
I mean, but this is the classic Booker T, W.E.B. Du Bois kind of argument. We had like 1920 again, y'all. We need both. We need economics and we need political stature because All our economic status can be taken away with pen stroke and through a political pen stroke. And I don't really think people recognize that enough.
Man, I told you my story, Kamari. That I've seen it happen, so that's absolutely possible.
Yeah, I mean, I know y'all think I just love politics just for the sake of loving politics. No, I'm looking at it what the protection is for the people is, and sadly, we can't just be fixated on one thing about getting the money, because honestly, when we get into politics or getting more into politics, that unlocks real wealth right there. A lot of our Black millionaires, a lot of times were created through government contracts that we pay tax dollars for, that we are deserving of having, as long as we can operate a business that can facilitate them. And we have a lot of businesses that can operate them, but sadly, we get kind of quoted out of the system or pushed out of the system. All right, so exactly why hire a near retiree. But listen, people are electing these near retirees, y'all, these 60-year-old folks. The question you got to ask yourself is, why do the people feel confident in electing these old fogies? No disrespect to my elders. Javette says, shout out to the Bloods and the Crips in LA. They organized and voted out the Black DA, Jackie Lacey, that would never side with Black folks. That's dope. I didn't see that story. That is dope.
I care. I want to see that for sure.
Yeah, I'll Google it.
So real quick, when it comes to policing, though, I think I do want to bring this part up, because you brought up the marketing before. I think that we do understand, like, the image of the Black man, always this big, powerful. You say he always, he's big, strong guy, whatever. But I think that our marketing for our brand, as far as Black people, is terrible. It's really been like the record companies and the music industry. I'm a huge fan of shoot 'em up rap, right? But I do think that it is damaging every day, every night. Like, what other race do you see where it says, up and coming rapper got killed? He had a mixtape out on MySpace or whatever. He's up and coming rapper got killed. I mean, I don't think that's fair. If a white person's a pharmacist, you don't say pharmacist got killed. You just say, X person got murdered over here. But as our imagery, right? A couple of days ago, rapper from Chicago, King Von, look him up, murdered in Atlanta. And I never heard his music until that day. And I went back, and I think he had some of the most troubling, most violent lyrics I've ever heard in any rap song. And I've listened to it. Onyx, throw your guns in the air. But our image, everything, kill our brother. Like, he's encouraging. He says, yo, go out and get some bodies in his songs, right? And so we, as Black people, we have to work on our branding. If our branding is violence, you can't even blame the labels that much, because he was independent for a while. But we got to work on our branding to help us. I mean, you could say what you want about white people, no, they shouldn't kill us. But if their marketing, if their mindset is like, yo, I'm scared, then they're gonna shoot first. So we gotta work on
Hold on. I want to ask you a question about that. And I actually did listen to King Von's music before he passed, and I'm not from 63rd. But listen, though, my point is this: why is it that's what people gravitate towards, right? Because when you listen to hip hop music, the beauty about hip hop music is there isn't one wave. There's all sorts of waves, whether it's emo, whether it's the nerds, whatever it may be, there's something for everyone. But that's what the people gravitate towards. And now you have people who don't even really live that life because they're trying to find that as a way to get out of poverty. So we got to tackle the real issues. And I think that it'll trickle down. And when you talk about the marketing of it, a lot of these places marketed, we don't control that narrative. I think that's the bigger problem. The bigger problem is we don't control the narrative. About all the negativity that involves in hip hop, we could also talk about all of the opportunities that hip hop has given our community in terms of Black executives, in terms of musicians, and all sorts of things, right? So I know that I know you weren't making an indictment of hip hop overall, but what I was saying is, I always think about why is it that our kids gravitate towards that wave versus the other? Because if it's possible for hip hop to touch them in that way, that means it also can be used for something else, something positive. But we have to really get to controlling our narrative. We need to own our own media, right, and tell our own stories, and also try to figure out how we use the platforms that are wrote in terms of hip hop to push a more positive message out there.
Correct.
All right, let's get through the rest of these comments. Lynette says nobody's saying the Dems are the end all be all. Some of the incoming Dems are independents. Dem titles bring money and campaign funding. That's fit. Yep, I agree. Dodger, I saw that tweet and had to research that. Jeff a beast. Shout out to Courtney. Brother Willis here. As for the psychology issues we have to address, one that came to light front and center is our overly negative influence by celebrities that aren't qualified to speak on our behalf. Amen to that. And for the most part, have played a major part in the subculture of destruction that weakens our community. In short, our mentality has to move more towards being influenced by our Black sociologists, economists, political scientists, historians, community activists, and not rappers.
To that point, it's happening. I'm seeing it firsthand. Like there's a lot of young kids, like between Bada Hood, between EYL and other podcasts, there's a lot of business pioneers that are being put on that pedestal in the same way that entertainers were in the past. So that is like young kids doing it too, man. Shout to Spurgo, shout to Christian Jones that was on the Bada Hood show. Like these young kids out here chasing it, man, and they're really being models. That they are doing wonderful things and being looked at same as rappers. But shout to Willard for that comment.
I appreciate that.
Does Jeff have a book? God, anything. There you go, Courtney. That's what I did. That's what I did.
Jeff went to jail, y'all. 4 years. He's still
That's a
in
movie.
jail.
Listen, I would watch that movie though.
Right.
He definitely got to get an independent Amazon flick or something.
Yeah, I would watch that.
I can't.
We watched the old days trial for 5 days. We can watch Jeff at night.
Oh man, Monica says she can't write up her student loan interest anymore. Monica, that means you getting that chicken. You make too much money. You out the tax bracket. All right, so just a few more as we begin to wrap up. Do you think the decriminalization of drugs in Oregon is set up procedure for the DEA? Courtney, what do you think? You're the marijuana expert here.
As a setup procedure for the DEA. So basically, like decriminalizing on the state level and just kind of letting the feds have the field day. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, I think that's what he meant.
No, because here's a couple of things. The feds actually have not given, well, just from the marijuana side, medical marijuana is not funded. They're not funding the Department of Justice to do any enforcement work if the state has a medical marijuana setup that's legal, like under the state. Now, in terms of recreational or adult use, which kind of like this decriminalization of drugs is doing in Oregon, that's not actually, they're still funding for it. They have like an amendment. I don't know if the amendment went through. In terms of decriminalization, it's more kind of like we'll give you a ticket more so than anything else. So it's not like you can just kind of roam free, but you still get a ticket, but it's not, misdemeanor or a felony. So that's where, but I think decriminalization is where we need to get away from, because I think that really doesn't solve the problem. So I don't think it's a setup. I just think it's kind of like, hey, we're just trying to declog our system with nonviolent drug offenses. But I think I would like to see a better option than just decriminalization. I don't think that's the answer.
Gotcha. All right. I want to remember Biden's wife is an educator, and I think she would do some good things for education. Possible. Usually the float has some kind of initiative, and a lot of times it definitely surrounds education. I love the fact that a large group of Black folks organized for a goal and executed that goal successfully, especially in Georgia. Thank you, Stacey Abrams. Yep, I agree. Yep. Stacey's a beast. I think Stacey's the model, y'all. I mean, we had all these, to Willow's point, we had all these folks, touting using their platform to tout their plans, not well thought out. But Stacey stayed true and she did the work. She kept her nose to the grindstone. All right, Kyle, I'm sorry. We will be back next Saturday with the church It won't be
Sunday.
so next Sunday.
Sunday.
I was thinking about the real Sabbath, y'all. I was ready for the black church smoke today, Con. I feel you, bro. I feel you. But we knew this was on the hearts and minds of folks, so we definitely wanted to have a conversation about it. Elizabeth says, Freestat, it's like telling me to pull myself up by my bootstraps, but you have my flip-flops from the Dollar Tree. This government is trash. Hey, I love that breakdown, and I agree, Elizabeth. A major problem is not just weed sales imprisonment, it's also the overabundance of weed use and other substance abuse. As a real estate investor, the number one problem with the black contractors that I grant preference to is substance abuse. My college professor, Tony Sanchez, will say, black people love to party and get down, and that's a good thing. But the problem is we don't know how to get back up.
Well, here's the problem.
That's a stunt, real quick.
I was about to say, I was like, shout out to Tony Sanchez being your professor.
Yeah.
Dope.
I love that. But I think it's important to realize that a lot of our substance abuse is a lot of self-medication.
Yes.
Mental health.
It's mental health. And we've kind of seen, especially in Philadelphia recently, that we're not getting the mental health support that we need. Correct. Just period. We're just not. And nobody's really training for it. And here's the thing, like, speaking of politics, shout out to Ronald Reagan and basically defunding the mental health system in the United States. Like, we're just not getting the support that we need. And there is I forgot what article it is, but it provides that if you are a black person with a mental health, with some type of mental health, I guess illness is appropriate. If you have a mental health illness and you are black, the likelihood of you having a negative interaction with the police goes up astronomically.
And I'm in the mental health field, so I can tell you about all of them stats. But I appreciate you saying that, because mental health is the reason why the drug issues. It's cyclical, because the mental health issues cause drug use, and then the drug use cause more mental health issues, and then it just becomes a spiraling cycle. And then it puts us into the criminal justice system, which is ill-equipped to handle the mental health issues of anybody, but especially black.
Great point, Corey. Great point.
So,
I mean, I have a cousin who just got jammed up a couple of weeks ago, and we were dealing with it. He basically, in the 90s, he got some bad batch of drugs. It caused him to be schizophrenic. And then he actually ended up kind of getting in the mix up, because of course we're all like boxed in with COVID. So he went out to some kind of event. He ended up, engaging in some kind of things. And that being said, it kind of set him off. And then he was living in a home, and the home called the police. The police boxed him in his room. Not a good look for someone with a mental health issue. And he went off, and he took out like 3 of them, and he ended up they messed him up, and he ended up catching a case. And it's like, again, like, I get what you're saying. I mean, but you box somebody in their room, and you think, and he didn't expect you to come. It's not like, hey, it's us, we're saying hi, are you okay? That's not what it was. And there's a lot of mental health checks that actually end up like that. So we can't underscore this enough. And I had mental health issues all over my family, and I'm very sensitive to this, and I'm tired of it, because it's not a criminal issue. And every time I turn around, we're making it criminal. So how do you think we're going to get it any better?
All right. So moving right along, I want y'all all to chime in on this. I think Elizabeth brings up a great thing, right? So she says, listen, we have too many generations to bridge, and we can't do that by disregarding parties. Right now, we need to understand perspective so we can shift the focus. You're not going to get my 70-year-old parents to agree with a non-party focus. What do y'all say to that?
My parents are in their 70s too. They'll be dead in 20 years. So we got to move.
I wasn't going to be the one to say that. I appreciate that, Corey, because, I thought I was going too far, but apparently you did not.
Okay, I'm not that far over that way. No, I mean,
no, but she makes a valid point, though. Yeah.
Right, because we still got to get through those 20 years.
But my thing is, we have to, if we're going to be progressive, we cannot. I understand that the wisdom of our elders is needed, but if we're going to move into a space where we have to, and do the things that we need to do, when the rallies happen, it'd be the 18 and 17-year-old kids out there. So we need to move our politics toward our younger people. Not that our older people, we need to use our older people for knowledge, for experience, and for those things, but we need to use the people, the bodies of the people who are younger and who have the energy to do the things that we need to do. And those people are going to be alive a lot longer than our 70-year-old parents. So, I mean, it sound weird and it sound counterproductive, but what it is it's just pure math. Pure math says there's a lot more.
Yeah, but in terms of who shows up to vote, who shows up and who participates, and I mean, I haven't looked at the most recent election, but I know in past elections, those seniors show up more. They show up more, and I mean, they still have their rights.
That's our fault, though. That's our fault.
Absolutely, it is. But what I'm saying is,
that's our fault.
But we have to figure out a way to incorporate them. It is for the wisdom, but also like so they're going into 20 years, and now you have a group of 70-year-olds with similar needs. You're never going to be able to just cuff at this number because first of all, we're living longer. I mean, and the fact is you'll always have a group of 70-year-olds who will always be active, and they still have their needs and things that they need to fight for and vote for as well. We have to figure out a way to make it work. You can't just cut them off. That's impossible to do. I'm
not saying cut them off. I just said use the wisdom and the knowledge of the 70-year-old people to help the 16 and 17-year-old people to actually vote. You know what I mean? Because, like I said, they have the energy and they have years. When we talk about investing, I don't care about anybody. Look, when we talk about investing, right? We always say time in the market over timing the market, right? So right now we're trying to time the market, instead of using time in the market. The younger people have way more time to be in the market,
but they don't get the market. That's the point.
But that's our fault.
What I'm saying is, first of all,
trying to make.
Well, you're not even legally can vote at that talking about, and then beyond that, you haven't lived life to know it's like to know.
All right, well, hold on, y'all.
Right, you let people at age make trouble than we are now.
Jimmy, your COINTEL Pro is
it's crazy. Corey on his Umar joint right now. Somebody not gonna make it.
All right.
No, the point I was trying to make. Mm-hmm. Go ahead. I'm sorry, because COINTEL Pro. Go ahead.
What?
No, go ahead, Jimmy. Finish your thought.
Go ahead, finish.
I was just saying that this. No, I was saying this is a bit different than when you talk about the market because those folks don't have any experience. You trying to let them lead us, and now that's not possible. They'll find a way to make it work across generations. A very valid point in terms of what she said, because everybody has different needs, right? We can't just let that generation, especially you talk about 17-year-olds, they can't even vote yet. We have to figure out a way to make it work and use the wisdom of the elders to actually lead us. So with that being said, we can't just ignore any age range. We have to make it work.
Gotcha. But all right, folks, listen. Hold on, folks. Listen, everybody. We apologize for the technical difficulties. I know Jimmy is getting hacked by COINTEL Pro. Listen, we're doing this all by the internet, so we're doing the best we can. So bear with us. But y'all see we're consistent. Do us a favor, share this out with someone who needs to hear a more nuanced, a more complex conversation, and actually watch adults have a conversation that don't always agree, but don't necessarily got to scream at folks. Right? We need to work on that too. So Tracy, Malik, Courtney, you got something on this?
So yeah, I think the biggest thing is that we're not thinking that we're ignoring people, but I think we have to engage them in a way that's meaningful because again, they do vote. And Corey makes a very valid point. It's like, yeah, it's our fault that our younger people are not voting at the same percentage that older people are. So we have to do some work there. But also, I think it's about language and actually we can pretty much get everybody on the same page. And I think that's where we should really focus on our language. Like when we were talking about the idea of defunding the police, and everybody was like, what the heck is that? And I was even like, defund the police? What are we doing, y'all? But then when we go in and have the conversation, I look it up and they're like, oh, we're basically taking mental health away from them and giving it to those who are professionals. Like kind of that type of work. Well, yeah, but you got to fix your language because I think everybody can agree. A lot of people, let me say everybody, but a lot of people can agree yeah, the police shouldn't be called to a mental health crisis. I think a lot of people can agree that. But if you give the proper language, then we can all get on board. But I think with the younger people, they don't care about language. They're like, well, you know what we meant, and we'll explain it to you. Like, that's not it either. Same page, because we're pretty much in the same book, but we just kind of have to work it out. But I get Corey makes a very valid point. These people are not going to be around in 20 years, which is fair. But again, we all have to get everybody kind of marching to the same beat. And I think that's why, like, looking at something that's beyond the parties is so important, because again, not everybody's going to be on the same page, like in terms of parties, and we're going to have to do something, but we still have agenda and we still have needs that need to be met.
Yeah. All right. So Elizabeth's on fire tonight. I don't care for either side, but it's just baby. All pieces do the same thing, just different colors and who's moving them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Wanda, I gotta correct this. Every 2 years there's an election. No, every 6 months there's an election, folks. Every 6 months. Every 6 months, y'all. I need y'all to understand that. All right. Kavette says, I rock with Karen Hunter. Shout out to Karen Hunter, one of the best black broadcasters in the country. Actually, one of the best broadcasters in the country, period. I rock with Karen Hunter's strategy of black folks being in every political party to affect change from within. So I agree with that. That's kind of ballad of the bullet-esque. Here's the thing, though. There is no unifying document, thought, theory, theology, or anything that gets us all to work together. So when you got a guy like Tim Scott who thinks he's doing the right thing for black folks but really isn't, it's a problem. And Tim Scott's a Republican, y'all. So, you know, I'm not against black folks being Republicans. I think it would make sense for us to have black folks that are Republican, but I think it would make sense that we shift our vote as needed as well, regardless of party. So we can.
Are there any black Republicans that don't lick boots? I need to know some of them.
I need to shout out to Randy Robinson here in Philly. Triple R. I think you know him, Malik. He's in the early birds. There are several apps. So Elizabeth said there are several apps we can use to do that auto text or auto call. We got to reach people. How someone from Spelman call Stacy. Facts. Kavette says, for example, having a presence in the Republican Party forces their hands with our votes, or we can put forth a conservative candidate if we have those values, but some of us do. Yeah, I get it. They just jumped on me. Oh man, give me 1 second. Vanessa's in the house. What's up, Vanessa? Shout out to Black Mama Vodka. I had some over the weekend. Vanessa, I need to re-up. Yeah, we need ownership and need to show black folks in other industries. We do not own industries. Yes. Mm-hmm. Nico says, what kinds of education? So many. Mm-hmm. So many. Where do you want to start? We need mental health education. We just talked about that. We need to understand it. We need to understand what it looks like. Like we all kind of get a basic kind of first aid, or at least understanding what first aid is. We need something like that for mental health. I don't know what it looks like. I'm just saying, I think if we are better educated on it, we can address it better. And then we can kind of stop or impede the influence or the what am I trying to say? The impact of getting the law enforcement involved. Because that's what we don't need. This jumped on me major. I didn't realize we had these many comments in here, y'all. Yeah, COINTELPRO is at play. Wayne Terry says Republicans are trash. You should learn from your enemy. I agree with that. I'm speaking of AOC and other sets of Democrats that have their own agenda. I agree with that. I got you now, Wayne. I got you, brother. Man. Attorney General is a major office, yes. And he or she is won by a small margin. Oh,
he's talking about Darrell.
Right. Yeah, I saw it. By a small margin in Kentucky. Yeah, absolutely. Over policing. How you doing, James? Welcome. Over policing is a big deal. This is why reform is so important. Mm-hmm. Yes, on Roland Martin, they mentioned that last night within the 16-year-old demographics, the black population exceeds the white. Well, listen, I was just looking at the demographics the other day about black spending. We have the biggest youth demographic out of all the ethnic groups here in the country in terms of percentage-wise. So I think it's like 35% or something like that.
We got to give them some direction, man. We got to just get some direction.
Yeah.
You need direction.
So Adrian says that's Malik, but we need to not only observe whites, a nice amount of Hispanics voted for Trump and want to be seen as a new model minority. The quiet Asian population factors in as well. They are not. So new faces in white supremacy.
Are we prepared to have that conversation though?
That's a whole show.
As I said, I don't know if y'all ready.
I'm ready because we don't have allies. I agree with her.
I'll say this. I think we need to stop identifying ourselves as POC. I get it in the larger context, but we got to start addressing Black issues.
POC, pass.
Yeah.
That's my term.
All right. So James likes Malik's thoughts about staying.
Yes.
Racism, yes, Don, it is. It's in the DNA of America. I agree. All right. So Nico says, how do you start fixing the mindset? I would say, one, start expanding your mind, right? Start reading some things, listening to some people who you haven't listened to before, reading some things you haven't read before, finding opposing views. I think a lot of times we get into these, oh man, what's the term I'm looking for, y'all? Where everybody's saying the same thing. Right? Everybody's saying the same thing. And nobody's working out.
Echo chamber.
Thank you, Corey. You got it.
So I do, like, part of their question, I do want to shout Otis Bullock, with his daycares. He's working with the kids and the parents at the same time. And multi-generational program. Shout out to Otis for that.
Okay. But yeah, that's it. And I would say seek out other progressive thinkers and really engage them. A lot of people want to talk to people about stuff. A lot of times that might not be their friends or their acquaintances. Just reach out to them. You find somebody interesting. I would just ask to make sure that they're qualified. That's all I would ask, because again, we have a lot of these social media people who are so-called gurus and they're really trash, and they parade themselves around as their experts and authority. And again, they're really trash.
I'm so tired of the social media guru. I'm so sick of them.
Yeah.
You want to name names, Kamari?
We talk about them in private. I ain't naming no names. I'm not for black on black crime.
Wait till y'all see my ad, my Facebook ads next week. I'm gonna be on there like everybody else next week. Watch.
Why not?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. You actually do stuff in real life.
Don't end up on false prophets, man.
In real life, right?
Was that a bar? Was that a bar?
What? Just don't end up on false prophets. Economics can support the super PACs. Yeah, they can. They can. No doubt about that. Agree, brother. Politics leads to real wealth. Yep. I said that. That was my bar. I'm claiming that. Let's see. Let's get through all these. Did you discuss Van Jones earlier? Malik caused me to think about him. Van Jones and his crying.
How you think about Van Jones?
I don't know how he got it from you, Malik, but listen, you David Ruffin, so you got to take the weight on a lot of stuff.
I'll take that.
I thought Van Jones' comment was very touching.
I did too.
That was goofy. Stop playing.
So listen, I didn't necessarily have a problem with Van Jones' comment, and I'll be honest, y'all, I didn't necessarily have a problem with Van Jones trying to work with the Trump administration to get things done. But I don't know if Van Jones is like sincere and truly authentic all the time. So, and again, that's from afar. So I don't know. What do y'all think? Corey, you said you thought it was weak.
Man, Van Jones is, I'm going to say this. Van Jones, his first priority isn't black people.
Okay.
And I'm going to leave it at that because his household says his priorities aren't black people.
Yeah. That conversation happened a lot over the discussion of the election, and some folks reaching out excited about Kamala and different things, and then they start asking questions about, well, what household person does your family look up to that actually is African American?
And my family looks up to me. I don't know about his family.
No. I'm not saying about you. I'm saying like that was the discussion in some of our community conversations that I was having, like group chats and stuff. where some folks were like really bigging up, oh, it's great to see a Black woman, blah blah blah. It's like, but you don't have a Black woman in your household.
I mean, listen, that's bars. Like, listen, if your first priorities aren't Black people, I don't know what to tell you, which is why I'm not excited. But that's the reason why
I want to have that conversation.
I'll have that conversation every day of the week. I don't care about nobody's feelings when it comes to that. Because my first priority is always Black people. In everything. Huh?
We should have that show only with the guests.
Yeah, that should be private. That could be a private Zoom call. You're right, Malik. You're definitely right about that, Malik. Andrew says we don't own the media. Well, we are the media right now. This is media. I know you're talking about mass media, but listen, there are some other stations owned by other folks that are doing big numbers, and its community supports them. We can do the same thing. Now, we got a couple kind of on the rise, but none that are doing a billion views. So I think we can get that place. I mean, Roland Martin's doing his thing. Our money controls the narrative. If that music didn't sell, people won't write it. Yeah, but I think we got to be careful about that too, because a lot of people that are buying hip hop music are not Black. The majority
the biggest artists in the world, Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole, they sell more records than anybody else, which are more than anybody else, and neither one of them are on that.
Drake. He's got the most streams.
And
Drake, either. It's to prove the point, to your point.
Yeah.
Miller said it very well. You mentioned books. Shout out to Corey. I just received his book on Your Time and Space. Eager to give it a read. Thank you for that. I'm gonna say thank you for them, right? Because
Jim is the co-author.
Is there a Time and Space website? Do y'all own the time?
Yes.
Okay. Somebody put that in the chat, please.
Well, yeah, it's on yourtimeandspace.com. But you could also go to Buy the Hood University.
Yeah, we'll put in the chat wherever people can get it, because folks got short-term memories. We don't want to forget that.
Yes,
we need those book sales.
Yes, sir.
It's a dope read. Courtney's been trying to get an autographed copy.
I was not going to put you guys under the bus. I was not going to do that. But since Kamari brought it up, where's my autographed copy, y'all? Where is it?
And
we support one another too, right? Like Courtney wants the book. I'm gonna buy a book. I got the book.
I can autograph mine too.
We're all right. So where can I meet y'all? Like, because we have under COVID protocols. Where can I meet y'all to get y'all these autographs?
Uncle Bobby.
I mean, I'll meet y'all wherever. Just bring the book. I'll bring a pen, and everything is good.
Yeah, Uncle Bobby's is a good point.
Uncle Bobby sounds good to me.
That's good.
Elizabeth is on fire.
Yeah, she got time today. I feel you, girl.
Yeah, she got time today. Yeah, I see. I'm here for it. Jimmy makes great points, but the Wi-Fi is killing me. Yeah, we're going to have to get Jimmy. This can't be a moderate discussion. We have to hold Biden-Harris accountable. Absolutely. The runoff in Georgia is a huge part of this. We do have to start the conversation with the younger people. We have to reach out and message the younger people in a way that they understand that they have a voice. I agree. But, what's the famous saying? Youth is wasted on the young. So young people are going to do what young people do. I don't care how much education, love, and spending time with them, right? And that's not to say that I'm writing them off. I'm just saying that some of them have to go through their own process as well and grow up and mature. But yes, we have to expose the youth. What's up, Sean? Thanks for joining us. Languaging and messaging are critical, even if the police are called to a mental health issue. The escalation has to be a product. Yeah, but police are not police in this country are not really trained to do de-escalation. So
at all,
we want to try to keep them out as much as possible.
Yep.
Yes, Karen Hunter is awesome. And and by the way, folks, I just want to be clear. I'm not necessarily anti-police, right? Because there's a lot of old ladies that can't walk certain places at night that need the escort of a police officer. So, I do believe though in the whole defund program, what they're talking about reallocating resources to things like mental health, so we can have less shootings, less abuse. So I think we got to keep it all in perspective. Yes, thank you, Kamara. The POC, when it comes to Blackness, is a form of yes, it is. Yes, the Black conversation has to be at the fore. in this moment to vote for Biden as a black mandate. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Oh, shucks. Jimmy Young Carter. So, false prophet is spelled with a Z. I'm tempted to put it up, but I'm not because I don't.
No, don't put it up. Just Google it. What is it?
Yeah, Google it. It's on YouTube and it's on Instagram. Some of your favorite black folks are on there.
Oh Lord.
Sean said we be Jones already. Listening to criticism of YouTube gurus is my love of hip hop. Listen, we all are granted a guilty ghetto pleasure. I ain't mad at you. I used to love and hip hop, watch Love and Hip Hop, and I used to watch Real Housewives of Atlanta. Yeah, Roland Martin is definitely black media. Definitely.
Like Ain't Crew.
Jewish people first priority. That's right. Hey, Alex, is it Alexis?
Yeah.
Alexis. It's Alexis.
Yes, thank you. Hey, Alexis.
Correct, Alexis.
I don't like saying people's name wrong. But she's right. Jewish people first priority is Jewish people. The Powernomics read is due in 2 weeks.
Yep.
2 weeks.
Shout out to you for bringing that back up. We needed to.
Thank you, Lynette, because I'm reading The Big Leap and I got lost, so my bad. Sorry.
So that's the 22nd, Lynette. Next week, everybody, just so y'all know, we're going to have the church conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Does the black church have a negative ROI in the community? Hell, I want one too. All right, Don wants a book too. Book.
Come to Philly, Don.
Well, Philly's from Mount Airy. I mean, Don's from Mount Airy. He's from 19119. Just to get
Mount Airy. There is in the city. It's 19119. Look, we're not doing this today.
We don't have.
Why did you bring it up then? I was trying to.
You did. Hold on. You're the one who brought up the zip code, though. I didn't say anything.
No, stop it. Stop it. Yes, y'all. LOL, I got time. Yes, Elizabeth got time. Courtney always got time to try to.
Got time today.
She got time every day to try to beat on me, y'all. All right, Wanda says, good night, everyone. Have a blessed week. Good night, Wanda. Thank you for joining us.
Wanda.
Black right, not civil right. I don't know any black people named Civil. All right, I haven't received my copy of Power Now yet. All right.
When did you order it, James? Because mine came, now granted, it's shipping from Maryland, and mine came in like 2 days. So I don't know when you ordered it and where you are in the country.
Yeah. So Adrian says we need to get away from the POC title. I agree, y'all.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think they got BIPOC. I definitely don't understand BIPOC. I ain't that.
Yeah.
By the way, what is BIPOC?
Hold on.
By a person of color.
Yeah.
Like a mixed person.
No. It's a group of them together. They're bi as a group, and then person black. It's a black, indigenous, person of color, something else. And,
black, indigenous people and people of color. So it's black, indigenous, and people of color. And it's like, no, we're not the same. We all have different issues. And I think it's a lazy position to kind of say like, oh, I feel like it encompasses everyone. Yeah, it does. And it really ignores the differences that are very real and that we face. And I'm tired of being lumped into a pot because you're too lazy to separate, what's important to me and what's important to somebody else. Like, that's not fair. I'm tired of it.
So hold on, I want to get to this. Elizabeth asked for a book. So the book we are reading is by Dr. Claude Anderson. It's Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson. So check that out. You got 2 weeks, Elizabeth. We need you in on this. So order your copy. Please order it from powernomics.com and give it a good read. All right, so this is what it is. Black, indigenous, people of color. I don't even know what that means, but I'll leave that there. Lord, too many acronyms. Exactly. Yeah, very lazy. All right, folks. We said a lot, and we held y'all here for a long time. Again, we appreciate everyone being here. Tracy, do you have our black icon of the week this week?
Black icon? I thought I was doing the
I have that wrong.
Yeah, you did it backwards, Kamara.
I did it backwards. It was on me.
Yep. You did the black business of the week when you were supposed to do the black icon. You did it backwards. Got you.
Well, listen, I can always pull a black icon. All right. So my black icon of the week is John Rogers, the founder of Ariel Investments. I would encourage everybody to look at Ariel Investments. Ariel Investments is also the company where Melody Hobson also works and is also the co-CEO. So if nobody's ever heard of it, again, it's the Black Mutual Fund, or the mutual fund that was started by a Black man, John Rogers. I will put it up on the screen. It's also available on a lot of y'all mutual funds in y'all 401k plan. So I definitely want y'all to talk about that. Check that out. Give me 1 second and I will pull that up. I mean, I think this is a shining example of Black excellence all day, every day. So again, that's John Rogers right there. Started Ariel. I want to say they manage anywhere between $5 and $10 billion in assets altogether. So, you know, very instrumental. Have done a lot of things. Take a look at this story, y'all. By the way, they also started a school. They also started a school out in Chicago to teach the youth in their school about investing as well. So that's definitely admirable. What you got, Malik?
I was saying, don't forget the school. That was it. And also the kids in the school manage the account, and they get to split it when they graduate.
Ah, okay. I didn't know that. I did know that, but I forgot about that. Thank you for bringing it up. So if nobody's familiar with Melody Hobson or John Rogers, please look them up.
Melody Hobson, I think she got the that build. She paid all that money for that building named after her at Princeton, and she married what, George Lucas.
Yes, she's also married to George Lucas. So shout out to Melody Hobson.
Somebody put the false prophets link in there.
No.
Somebody did. Where's it at? I didn't see it.
No, somebody please do.
Listen, bro, just Google that. Just Google false prophets right up. And listen, here's a warning. If you got to go to work tomorrow, don't read it tonight.
Right.
You will get lost in that thing.
No.
There's a lot of shenanigans.
Yeah.
A lot of shenanigans that's going on out in the streets, y'all. What is this here? Oh, that's an article, James. Mm-hmm. All right, we'll check that out. I guess it's about BIPOC.
Yeah, I'm not reading that.
Yep. Oh, okay. All right, that's dope. You got an account with them too. That's dope.
Yeah, Lex is in Chicago.
Right. Got to meet him. Great guy, and talk to our kids. Nice. All right. Shout out to John Rogers and Ariel. All right, my beautiful Black people. Appreciate y'all being here. It's always a great time. Remember, every Sunday, I don't know why I'm stuck on Saturday, y'all. Every Sunday, we are here with the Black Wealth Project talking about Black wealth issues, Black wealth money, Black finance, all things that encompass everything that encompasses Black wealth. So remember, share us out. Don't keep us a secret. And come on back next Sunday at 7 p.m., y'all. Y'all have a great night, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.